Welcome back to the show that. No. Welcome back to the show. We just came back from watching Toy Story 4. And before we start talking about the movie, I want to tell you about something that happened last night. So, I work as a DJ and sometimes a bouncer, and a lot of people come up to me and ask for requests for special songs. So this guy walks up to me, and I think, oh, great, another guy asking for a song I don't want to play. And he says two words. He's like, Coconut Bros.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
And I was like, no way. And he says, yeah, I'm a fan.
Oh, you really reach around, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that meant a lot to me. He says he's listened to every single episode, and he couldn't wait for the next one. And that meant a lot to me. So I don't remember asking him for a name, but this is a special shout out for you. You definitely made my night. That was an incredible little moment there.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's nice knowing that there are actually people out there listening. But yeah, Toy Story 4. So, thoughts?
It's a really interesting choice. They outsourced it to Illumination. They became dogs and something.
Oh yeah, that happened. Okay, so curtains go down. The Universal Studio comes up, and I was like, wait, did Disney buy that too? And then the Illumination logo comes up, and this is the moment I realize The Secret Lives of Dogs 2 is playing. And people just sat in there. No one was going to do anything until I stood up, and I was like, hey, dudes, the wrong movie is playing. Can you imagine if I hadn't stood up and we just sat through that? That would have been terrible. But yeah, Toy Story 4. Honestly, I loved it.
Yeah, I was ready to say it was pointless.
Mm-hmm. But it was beautifully written, and also it looked amazing. The animation is incredible in this one.
Yeah, they were showing off like a rain effect and
Yeah.
the water and the garbage.
Yeah, that first shot of the flashlight and rain, I was like, as soon as that started, I honestly thought, wait, they didn't put in the wrong movie again. That was way too good.
Yeah, speaking of improved CGI, the cat looked way too real.
Yeah,
This doesn't feel
yeah.
right.
Yeah, the cat looked way too real. There's a cat in this one. Oh yeah, and also that opening title sequence with Andy playing when he was younger with him, and they sequenced it right into the end of Toy Story 3. That looked great, and they had that old song by Randy Newman, who also wrote a pretty spot on. Well, not spot on. It's pretty on the nose for a later sequence. So should I just tell people what the story is and try not to spoil it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I will give a spoiler warning if I actually go into them, but the story is Bonnie is Andy's younger sister, and she got all the toys at the end of Toy Story 3. And so what happens is she's going to the first day of school orientation or something, and she makes this new toy, and it's that Spork from the trailers. And what's happening? They're going on some road trip, and the Spork keeps trying to commit suicide. He tries to jump into the trash because he was made of trash, and this is basically it's a road trip movie, and it's kind of an action movie. It's like non-stop, and some old characters come, and we get a lot of fun sequences, a lot of good jokes, actually a lot of really, really good jokes, and also voice acting performances from like Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, and I want to say Joan Cusack. No, wait, she plays Jessie. I don't remember who plays Bo Peep. She's a returning character, but you should know that she's in the trailer. Everyone was really good in this movie, and also this movie was kind of scary. There are some it's almost horror sequences in this. Well, not horror. It's like something out of Goosebumps. There's a lot of it's like porcelain dolls. Was it? It was like all of these dolls. They looked like Billy from Goosebumps, and it was kind of creepy. They go into this old antique store, and there's this doll who controls everything. Yeah, and we really can't delve into this movie anymore without going into spoilers. But honestly, there's not a lot to spoil. But yeah, and also there's this great character played by Keanu Reeves. He's great. What was it? Duke Kaboom, this Canadian motorcycle stuntman. I loved the introduction of that character.
He was great.
Yeah, I love the introduction because they make it look like he's supposed to be like this big action figure, and then he's just like really small. It's pretty funny. And that cat sequence also, that was terrifying. And like you said, that cat looked way too realistic. And yeah, so they're on the road and they lose track of. Well, Sporky flies out the window. No, it's Forky, but he is a spork. The fork flies out the window, and Woody goes to get him. And then they go into this antique store because he thinks he sees Bo Peep in there. And all things imaginable happen. It's a pretty big story. You can't actually explain what this movie is about in one sentence. And there's this big carnival where a lot of lost toys get played with and put up as prizes. And yeah, they're still on track to. They're trying to stall for time so Woody and Forky can get back into the car. And that's pretty much the whole movie. It's basically a ticking clock. And it has a really, really beautiful ending, which I'm not going to go into until we talk about spoilers. But it's a really beautiful ending. And honestly, I loved this movie. It was really good. I didn't expect it to be this good, but I'm not gonna kid. I almost cried. There was a moment a tear ran down my cheek, but that's because it was a beautiful sequence.
Yeah.
So apparently we're not going to go into spoilers, but we are going to highly recommend Toy Story 4. But we're going to go into...
Surprisingly.
Yeah, it's really good. I'd go see it again. But we're going to go into the next segment, which is probably something that you're going to be better off with, and that's superhero video games, or comic book video games, or whatever you want to call this section.
Mm-hmm.
So, which one are we going to talk about? Well, I originally wanted to talk about Dragon Ball Z games, and then you said, let's do superhero games, and I was like, yeah, that's better.
Yeah, because I feel that we go more hand-in-hand with that one.
Yeah, definitely. So which one do you want to talk about first? I have a lot of these written down.
I guess we could start off with Infamous 2.
Yeah?
You played that one?
Yeah, some of it. My brother has it at home.
Mm-hmm. Should we try to recall the plot or something? Because I don't know how to lead.
I don't remember the plot.
So we're basically screwed.
It's basically GTA. It's basically Grand Theft Auto, but you have superpowers, which is basically when you cheat in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
But it has a really fun, like, parkour stuff from the Assassin's Creed games, and it has a lot of creative powers, and honestly, it's a really fun game to play, but I cannot recall the plot to save my life.
Yeah. The only part I remember is the ending, where you had to kill your friend.
Ah.
Well, actually, that's the evil ending. Which is the canon one. Shut up.
Oh,
You
no.
become evil in the second game. There is no third game. Fuck you if you think otherwise.
Wait, I didn't even know there was a third game.
There isn't.
Oh.
Shut up.
Ah, don't hurt me. Because I wrote down some of these. I remember we played these ones a lot together. That was the Ultimate Alliance games by Marvel.
Yeah. Okay.
Which one had Spider-Man in it?
All of them?
Really?
Both of them.
Oh, both of them. Oh, both of them had him. I just remember on the cover they really wanted us to know that Spider-Man was in them. Was that 2? I think it was 2.
He was with both front and center.
I kind of like those games. I remember them being a lot of fun.
They are. They're just all surface level combat. If you try anything clever or different, it kind of falls apart.
Oh. Again, I haven't played those games in a lot of years.
Yeah. I mean, dodge canceling isn't in this game. Jump canceling, nope. Special canceling, nada. So, how about hit stun? Barely any. But
Yeah.
the third game, apparently there's hit stun. I have hopes.
I haven't played a lot of these games. When I was younger, I would only play like Batman and Spider-Man games, so I wrote those down.
Okay.
So I remember Spider-Man 2 really fondly. That was a really fun game to play, but the better one in my opinion is Ultimate Spider-Man. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, that was my favorite.
Yeah, that's a great game. You could play as Venom and be a sociopath for a few hours. And it was just a lot more fun to play, honestly. And you could jump around and, well, you couldn't swing, which was kind of bogus.
Yeah.
Or could you swing? Or could
Well, you could pull yourself with a tentacle and jump like really high, mega jump or something.
Yeah, wasn't that one supposed to be like... No, that's not the one that was kind of canon with the Maguire films. I think there was one
No,
game.
it was with the Ultimate Universe.
Oh, yeah. It was within the Ultimate Universe. And also, that was just a good game. It had a lot of good... It had good control. It was really fluid, and the animation was pretty good.
Yeah, too bad about the whole quick time event sequences. Those were pointlessly hard.
Yeah, and also I remember one bit really fondly. That's when Spider-Man gets punched through panels. It's kind of a fourth wall joke in there. I like that. Uh, who are the bosses in that game? I remember one Rhino sequence. I don't remember a lot.
Yeah, and the guy inside the rhino suit was a little nerdlinger.
Oh yeah. That's right. I don't remember that game a lot. I just remember I had a lot of fun swinging around in it.
Yeah, I think there was some Iron Beetle guy that was really annoying and also fun.
Yeah, and you could race Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in that one.
Johnny Storm sequences, the second race was a hell to get through.
Yeah. That just reminds me of when we would play Ultimate Alliance, and if I would be playing Johnny Storm, every time I would cook up his powers, I would say "Flame on," and he was like, "You don't have to say it each time." I do that. I'm a nerd. But regarding the Spider-Man games, the ones I actually kind of remember the best are the original PlayStation 1 games. I used to play those games a lot. And here's another like shameful secret. Remember how in our Crash Bandicoot episode I talked about, well, not episode, when we talked about Crash Bandicoot, I mentioned that my dad would always beat one level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I was playing the original Spider-Man game, my mom actually beat the Venom boss. I don't know how my parents are so secretly good in certain video game levels, but I just remember that she beat that level for me, and we had the PlayStation and the game in a cabin. Well, we had brought it with us, and I forgot to bring the cube to save, so I had to beat it all over again.
Yeah, speaking of Crash, in Crash 1, there was one boss I was deathly afraid of as a kid, Dr. Embryo. I was so scared of him when he started screaming and hulking out, slamming the ground. I had to let my friend beat it for me because I was crying in the corner.
Oh. Yeah, but I believe it was in Spider-Man 2, Electro something. No, it wasn't.
The PS2, no, the PS1 had Electro, yeah.
Yeah, PS1 Spider-Man 2 had Electro. That was a really fun game, but was it the first one or the second one where Carnage would melt with Doc Ock and turn into a hideous monster?
Yeah, the first one in PS1, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one.
What did he even say at the beginning? Like, what are you doing to me, boy? Or something?
Yeah, that seems about right.
Let's just take a clip and I'll shove it in somewhere. So according to a Villains Fandom wiki, it apparently says it's not over yet. It's just a wiki, anyone can edit that. Most, from what I've seen, they quote it as "Ark, where are you, boy? Die." Yeah, I'm not gonna do the voice this time, sorry.
You know what? I don't think I'll be able to play those games anymore now that Stan Lee has passed, because like he does narration for the game, and that just makes me sad.
Yeah, he's just too wholesome.
Yeah. Imagine being like, what was he, 96 or something? Yeah, he was in his 96th year. But the Spider-Man games I also played were, I don't know if they were connected or something, but one of them seemed to be a sequel to the other. It was Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, where you would play as 4 different incarnations of Spider-Man.
Web of Shadows? No, there was some other game that was...
Edge of Time.
Yeah, Edge of Time.
Where you would play as Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
Is that a sequel?
Yeah, I think it is. I barely look at it, and some people talked about it, but I never looked past that.
I like both games. I don't think one is better than the other, actually, because I really like the 2099 levels in Shattered Dimensions, but I like playing Edge of Time more because it has like Anti-Venom and a better voice actor for Spider-Man 2099, which, by the way, is my favorite version of Spider-Man. I can't wait until we get a live action film for it, if we ever do. And I hope he's gonna be in the Spider-Verse next film. I really, really want that to happen. But also, remember that Spider-Man game? It was Web of Shadows. That's a really good game. What I like about it is that you could at will like switch between the symbiote suit and the original red and blue one. And what I liked about that is the fact that it's almost as if you yourself are addicted to the symbiote. Because you want to stay in the black suit because you swing faster, you punch harder. It's so much more fun. But then you can remove it at any will, but it's like I don't want to. It's kind of being addicted to the symbiote. That's kind of clever if that was the intention of the game designers, which I kind of liked. But moving on from Spider-Man, in my opinion, the best superhero game, and I know this isn't breaking any new ground, but in my opinion, it's Arkham City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's probably the best like Batman anything outside of the animated series and the comic books, some of the better comic books out there. But I really like it. Also, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill bring their A game in this one as the Batman and the Joker, and there's a lot of fun little details that you don't always notice, and it was so much like careful craftsmanship regarding that game. And have you seen the videos of Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy recording their lines?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's so much fun to watch. Kevin Conroy like stands still and straight and just talks in his Batman voice, and then you can see like Mark Hamill hunched over and just doing all these like disgusting maneuvers when he's the Joker. But he lives that role. And also, you can't spell Mark Hamill without Arkham, so he was born for that role. But yeah, it has a great story and a lot of good performances, a lot of good boss fights, a lot of good creative boss fights, like with Ra's al Ghul and the Scarecrow and Clayface.
I've also heard very good things about Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, that's probably the best boss fight. It has.
Yeah, it's been praised to heaven and hell and beyond.
Yeah, and well deserved. It's really clever. And it really makes you think. And which one of the games had Man Bat in it where he jumps you?
Actually, I think it was a Halloween event.
Oh, really?
Well, I haven't played it myself. I've only heard about it from top 10 lists.
I see. But yeah, like I said, I really like that game. It's a shame that the other games couldn't be as good or live up to it, but honestly, I don't think they were aiming for another one when they made Arkham City. It just became that popular because it was so good. And also it had a definitive ending. You don't have to continue the story. It was so weird. But Arkham City is probably, and I don't play that many games, but it's probably one of my all-time favorite games because I just love playing Batman. I mean, who doesn't want to be Batman? Well, I do love my parents, but who doesn't want to be Batman? Yeah. Okay, I also have something I want to talk to you about, and that would be obscure childhood cartoons that we used to watch. Because my brain has been going into overload with like weird nostalgia that like splinter in the back of your mind of some weird shows. Like, remember Kurt XLR?
Megas XLR?
What did I say?
Kurt XLR?
Wait, no, his name was Kurt.
Oh.
Megas XLR. Yeah. The main character's name was Kurt. Remember that show?
Oh yeah, I watched it like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was a pretty weird show, and you know the best joke of that entire show is in the very first episode. It's because they go to this yard sale, and everything is $2. It's like, what's this for? And the guy goes, $2. What's this? $2. And then Kurt finds this giant robot, and he goes, $2? $2. And he rebuilds it and puts his car on top of it, but then you can hear the guy says, I can't find my $2. Like, he's really obsessed with getting those $2. I mean, he did try to sell it. He's not in the wrong, but dude, $2? I don't think I ever finished that show. I remember Bruce Campbell played a giant head.
Yeah, I think there was a competition arena or something.
Yeah. I think the last episode I ever saw of that show was on Cartoon Network, and it's probably not the last episode, but it's the last episode I ever saw, and man, it was a downer. It was like the robot got it got the hell beat out of it. It lost an arm, and they got captured, and I was like, man, this is a downer.
Yeah, I think the last episode was like a weird future thing. And the only part I remember is that I predicted he wanted a Philly cheesesteak for some odd reason.
And also, remember Alpha Teens on Machines?
We loved that show.
Yeah, ATOM. I loved that show. I don't remember a single character's name though. I just remember that we used to watch that all the time.
Yeah.
And okay, so it had one of the weirdest like twists ever. That the lead character, his father was supposed to be dead, and then he meets this guy who is basically, he looks exactly like his dad, and you basically think it's gonna be his dad, but then it turns out he's a clone, which is a bummer. It was like he didn't have a birthmark or something, but man, that was a downer. And he, what was the move called? Wasn't it like
Jolan Shobatsu?
yeah, Jolan Chobatsu, and he would always shove that thing and do a like a discount Kamehameha, and there was this one episode you told me about, which was like an ultimate Jolan. It was just like, it was a big punch. It was like when One Punch Man does his serious punch. Have you ever seen One Punch Man?
Of course I have.
It's so good. I love it. Why is it so good?
It's subversive, but does it right. I
Yeah,
guess.
it-
No, it's spoofing it. Not
Yeah,
subversive.
yeah. The thing about it is, it's like, I think One Punch Man was made to poke fun at people who said Superman is boring because he beats everyone. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it's the more friendly take instead of the Watchmen take.
Yeah. That's like, that's
The cynical superheroes are dumb.
Yeah. That's like the difference between, what is it? Like
Satire and parody, that's what I was looking for.
satire and parody. That's exactly the one. And One Punch Man is really good. The dub is halfway decent, but the Japanese voice acting is just so much better. And it's a really funny show. I did not want to watch it first when I heard about it, but my best friend told me about it, and I still didn't want to watch it, even though I usually trust him with these things. Although he's still trying to get me to watch One Piece. I won't do it. But
Fine, you'll watch One Piece instead.
but then I was working with this guy, and he told me about One Punch Man, and I was like, oh, here we go. And he showed me a clip. He showed me this one clip where Saitama and Genos fight, and from that one scene I was hooked. I was like, okay, I gotta see this. And so One Punch Man is really good, but we could probably talk about that more and more. But okay, when it comes to like the animes made to sell toys, we know about Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, but do you remember a show called Duel Masters?
No.
Okay, so that was supposed to be Magic the Gathering, the show.
Huh.
Yeah, but there was some licensing issue, so they just made it Duel Masters, and in Yu-Gi-Oh the card game was called Duel Monsters, so that it's not even trying to hide that it's copying off Yu-Gi-Oh there. I know Magic the Gathering came first as a card game, but yeah, that's not even subtle. But it was a really weird dub. I remember seeing a couple episodes, and they used to break the fourth wall, and also they couldn't use any Magic the Gathering cards, so they had to make up their whole new card game, and it had a pretty terrible intro. And okay, so there were a lot of fourth wall jokes in that show. Like one character would get knocked out, and then we would see his POV of waking up, and a character would say, "I think he's waking up. How can you tell? Because we're out of focus." Stuff like that. But remember, I can talk about these sort of cartoons all day. It's just like, remember Beyblade?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was a pretty fun show. I like how they could make a show out of Beyblades, like spinning spindles. I have a friend who works in Warner Brothers, and he has 3 kids, and he says that he used to love to play Beyblade with his kids because that was the only like concept he could understand, because it's not even a concept. You just spin it, and the first one to stop spinning loses. And I adore how they actually managed to create characters out. Remember how cheesy the music in the dub was when we used to watch it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was that song? It had like this grunge pop rock to it.
Well, I don't remember any of the
Yeah.
songs except the intro, which was amazing.
Yeah, the theme was amazing. But did you ever see the not the continuation series? Did you see the spin-off series Metal Fusion?
No, I don't think so.
That's actually kind of good.
Oh, okay.
But they don't have that. They don't have that the animals come to life from the Beyblades.
The spirits inside them.
Yeah, well, not at the same time. They would use these super moves and you would see the logo and then it would turn into the beast for like a second, but it would never go like full on like...
Kaiju battle?
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
It's not Beyblade,
Thank
it's
you.
a kaiju battle.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah, Metal Fusion was actually kind of good. It had a pretty fun intro, but I still have a lot of Beyblades back from that era. I actually used to have Kai's Beyblade. I used to have Dronzer, but from Metal Fusion I actually have like this. It's called Libra. It has a metal balancer, so it spins a lot longer. But going on to another section, remember Bakugan?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was like these like little ball spheres, and you would throw it on a card, and it would pop up and turn into a figure, and they would come to life.
Yeah, I think I've seen like a couple episodes.
Yeah, apparently that's getting a revamp via card game because they're playing it now that you don't actually have to roll the ball because that's just obnoxious. You actually just place it on the card game, and you would have these like big metal cards, and you would place them face down. You would roll them and try to get them to land. They also made a video game out of this. I have the video game. I played it. I think I played it again last year to see if I like could still play it. I beat it in a day. I don't know why I had such a hard time way back when. And I'm forgetting some show. I'm forgetting. What do we used to watch? We used to watch a lot of stuff.
I forget. Let's talk about something else. It will come back to our minds eventually.
Yeah, definitely. Remember Batman Beyond?
A little bit. For some odd reason, I never got the motivation to watch past episode 2 on my own.
Did you know that yesterday, I believe, was the day that Batman Bruce Wayne retires in that show? He retires in 2019.
Huh.
And Terry McGinnis becomes Batman 20 years later. So, if the timeline is correct, in 20 years, we will get our Batman Beyond film with Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne. Which is everything the world wants. I think that's mostly me though, because I love Michael Keaton. But did you like when we watched it on Cartoon Network? It was on Cartoon Network, and sometimes it would say Batman Beyond, and sometimes it would say Batman of the Future.
Yeah.
So
apparently it was a European thing.
Yeah. So what do you call it? Do you call it of the future or beyond?
I've known it as from the future from childhood.
Yeah, I say Batman Beyond just because it makes sense, as in he's going beyond Batman, but the title Batman of the Future will never leave my head.
Yeah, same here.
That was a pretty good show. I like it. Kevin Conroy is a really good aging Batman, and it has one of my favorite Cartoon Network jokes ever because it's just so awkward. It's written to be awkward, but it's really funny. It's because Terry's so young. He's supposed to be 20, in his early 20s in the show. Okay, so Bruce Wayne is filling Terry McGinnis in on some cold case about a few years back, and he says, "It was all over the news 10 years ago." Oh, didn't you watch the news? I was 7. And then Bruce Wayne goes, "Oh, well." It's such a great delivery by Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy can actually be really funny when he wants to. And he's also a really good singer. Did you know that?
No?
Yeah, there was this episode in Justice League where Batman was forced to sing, and he sang the song Am I Blue? And it's really beautiful. Kevin Conroy just has a velvet-like voice.
Yeah, speaking of Batman shows and music, there was one in The Brain of the Bolt with the Music Meister. If you've seen that episode, it's great.
The only quote I know from that show is, "The hammer of justice is unisex."
Perfect.
That is a great line. I've also seen the clip where the Joker keeps killing Batman over and over again. Because what did he become a master of time or something? What was that about?
I don't know, but the only other vague part I remember is Rainbow Batman.
There's also, speaking of Batman and musicals, there's a great opening scene in Batman Beyond where they quote the best line, well, not the best, but the most memorable and quoted line from the show. It starts out with, you hear Kevin Conroy go, "I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman." And then you realize in in this world there is a Batman musical, and he's singing about there's this actor, and it's Kevin Conroy singing, and he's playing an actor who's a musical actor playing Batman, and you can see all the old villains. And then the camera pans, and you can see Terry McGinnis and Bruce Wayne in the audience, and Bruce Wayne says, "You hate me, don't you?" It's a great sequence, and also, there was the song. It's called "The Super Secret Cowardly Lot." I highly recommend you check out this sequence. It's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen it. Wasn't it Superstitious Cowardly Lot or something?
Yeah, what did I say?
Super Secret Cowardly Lot?
I cannot get words right. It's
Don't worry, I just said Batman from the future a moment ago.
Oh no. Oh no.
No, that would be a strange show.
Yeah, Batman from the future. Oh no. Isn't that just like the Justice Lords or something?
Well, who knows?
That's also. Do you have a favorite like Batman film, or is Batman Beyond just your favorite interpretation of Batman? Wait, no, Batman Beyond. You watched Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
I'm the one who watched Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
I sometimes get the two of us mixed up. I don't know how.
I guess I'll just have to stick with Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
The cheesiness is just so much fun.
Yeah, it's like harkening back to the days of Adam West, but if like they had a bigger budget and were on acid.
Yeah. Full-blown celebrates, as I've heard it.
Yeah. I think my favorite interpretation of Batman is, well, my favorite actor to have played Batman is Michael Keaton, but he's also my favorite actor ever. But
Also, before I forget, there's also an animated Adam West show with Batman. Now that's a pretty good, not show. There's a side movie thing. You probably should see it.
yeah,
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, with Adam West and the Burt Ward. I think it was called that. I think that was his name, but I don't remember he was actually alive during this. I think maybe they got someone else to voice him.
What we were talking about was Batman vs. Two-Face, and yeah, that was his last performance. At least I think it is.
I think my favorite interpretation of Batman is Scott Snyder's run from the Court of Owls all the way up to, it was called Epilogue. I almost said Endgame. But have you ever read The Court of Owls?
No?
I highly recommend it. I picked that book up. I didn't know it was the first book of like 10, but I read it as a one-off. I thought it was a one-off, and if it had been, I'd probably say it was the greatest comic ever written, because the ending is just phenomenal. But then, like, you later find out that there's a book 2, and you're just like, damn it. But then you read that, and it's also really good. And Scott Snyder is probably the best Batman writer working today, and also the artwork by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. They really bring Batman to life, and they're the ones that made the infamous like Bat Bunny. Did you ever see that the giant robot bat suit that looked like a giant blue bunny?
No?
Did you ever see that?
I'm gonna look at it right now. Alright, now I've seen the bunny suit.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this was, I think it was the start of book 7, because in book 6, Batman and the Joker, they fight to, like, quote unquote, death. And Gotham realizes that they actually need Batman, and they need someone to be Batman. So Batman becomes like this mantle, and it's part of the Gotham City Police Department, and Jim Gordon is elected to be Batman. And people thought it was going to be so stupid, but here's a secret. It's actually really, really good.
There we go.
Yeah, Jim Gordon actually makes a pretty good Batman, and he gets one of the more creative foes. That's one of the things I like most about Scott Snyder. He actually managed to write really good original Batman villains, like the Court of Owls. He manages to create incredible villains, and he made them into a nursery rhyme since the beginning of Gotham, and it's just this cult that hides in the shadows, and they send out this mercenary called the Talon to kill people, and that is it's like a meta-human. It's like people brought back from the dead and super enhanced, and like one of them, just a single one, almost killed Batman by himself, and that was just in the first book. But when Jim Gordon became Batman, Scott Snyder introduced this character called Bloom. He was this like skinny guy and he had a flower on his costume, and you think it looks silly, but then he could extend to like grotesque sizes, and he would always stay like slim, and he was like Slender Man, but actually kind of scary. And there's this scene where he extends his finger and it becomes like this really sharp thorn, and it just goes straight through a guy's eye. It's actually pretty disgusting. The artwork on Bloom is actually incredible, and I thoroughly enjoyed Scott Snyder's run on Batman. And he also did another run called All-Star Batman. I haven't read that one yet, but it's not All-Star Batman and Robin by Frank Miller. That's the worst thing that's ever been made for Batman. So yeah, that interpretation of Batman is probably my favorite, and also the animated series, but that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you mentioned something about a silly-looking villain. Remember the Condiment King?
No.
Oh, you're gonna love this.
Listen here, Mustard Man. So you just showed me a clip of the Condiment King. That was the greatest 3 minutes I've ever experienced.
The greatest, lamest villain.
Yeah, this is what made the animated series so good. They didn't take itself too seriously, but when they did make a serious episode, it was always really, really good. Also, they have the best Batman film, Mask of the Phantasm. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
It's so good! It has the best soundtrack. Did you ever watch The Batman from 2004, I mean?
Yeah, I think I watched it as a kid.
I actually remember that guy I told you about earlier here who works at Warner Brothers? I just told you about 10 minutes ago or something.
Oh crap, I have short memory.
I told you he liked to play Beyblade with his kids.
Oh.
Yeah, he worked on the Batman.
Oh.
He did title cards and stuff like that. He's actually a really cool dude. He's been nominated for all sorts of awards or something. He's a really cool dude. His name's Lon, and he has a cool family. And apparently they walk past the Friends like water fountain every day on his way to work, which is pretty cool. But yeah, there's a lot of Batman media, and there's a lot of stuff about Batman. Okay, so remember how I keep talking about I watch American Horror Story?
Yeah?
Okay, so I finally finished season 2, and I'm almost done with season 3. But okay, season 2, it was kind of a lackluster ending, but it was an ending nonetheless. So, Nazi surgeon dies, the demon nun gets pushed off a roof or something, she dies, the pastor dies, the guy who gets abducted by aliens, he gets 2 babies. And they're both...
And I was just about to say, oh, they're turning down.
Yeah. So, he gets 2 babies with 2 different women. Because his wife, that he was accused of being murdered, she was abducted by the aliens. But she was pregnant at the time. So now, he had sex with this other chick in the asylum who was also abducted then by the aliens. So now they had their kids at the same time. And he was let go from the asylum to raise these kids in a polygamy marriage. So he's living with both women, and one of them keeps drawing the aliens, and she wants to talk to the kids about the aliens, and then the other one, Alma, the original wife, she kills her with an axe. And so she's put in the asylum, and then she dies, so he's stuck with 2 babies, and he starts to take care of the crazy nun that was made a patient later, and it's actually kind of beautiful how their relationship grows, and then she dies, and then the kids grow up to be like scholars and stuff like that, and then Kit is abducted by the aliens when he's old. Oh, and Sarah Paulson's character Lana, she managed to escape the asylum. She writes a book about it. She becomes an obnoxious prick because she's famous. She tries to take down Briarcliff, that's the name of the asylum, and her like bastard of a son. Remember, she got pregnant by the serial killer who, snuggled her without consent. Okay, so she abandoned the kid and gave it away, but she writes about in her book that her baby died, and then he wants to confront her 48 years later, and she shoots him in the head. This show keeps shooting people in the head point blank.
And somehow the most normal thing is the aliens.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, aliens? Yeah, sure. Someone got shot with an axe. Holy shit!
Okay, and I've also just started season 3, and this is one is about witches. And this season, I'm not gonna kid you, it's actually really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Sarah Paulson plays like this. It's kind of like Hogwarts. They even joke about it at one point that it's kind of like Hogwarts. They take in young girls who discovered that they have these powers, kind of like X-Men, and one of them has a killer vagina. Yeah,
With teeth?
Yeah, if she has sex with someone, that person will die, and she uses that as a revenge plot at one point. And this other girl, Queenie, she has voodoo doll power. So if she stabs herself in the arm, she doesn't feel it, but if she can make you feel it, and then she won't feel any pain, and then it would regrow. So now it will heal back. She's actually like sliced herself across the throat in one episode to kill someone like that, and it was kind of cool. But if you have multiple powers, you can be titled the Supreme, which is like the head honcho of the place. Where this is where Jessica Lange comes in. She was the crazy nurse in Asylum. She plays the Supreme. She's really good in the show. Everyone is really, really good in this season. But there's this one subplot that is so weird. So in the first episode, the killer vag witch, I don't remember her name right now. She meets this boy at a party and they really hit it off. And then another witch, played by Emma Roberts, she's drugged and she's gang snuggled. We'll call it that. So she wants to get revenge. So she flips the truck of the guys who did it while they're driving away. And in the truck, no, it's a bus. Sorry, it's a bus. The boy that Killer Vagina was flirting with, he's in this, and everyone dies except the lead gang snuggler. Let's just say that. So she goes to the hospital. She humps his brains out and kills him. But okay, so they perform a ritual to bring like the cute boy back, played by Evan Peters, and they put him back in this satanic ritual. And there's this subplot throughout the series that they're trying to like make him human again because he doesn't have a memory of anything, and it's really weird. Every time it cuts to that, the episode comes to a screeching halt. Otherwise, this season has been really, really good, and there's this war between the races, the white witches versus the black witches, and a woman who was buried alive for 180 years because she was cursed with immortality. Can you imagine? Although she should be blind, she was buried alive for 180 years in pure darkness, so she should be blind. American Horror Story Coven is so far my favorite season. It's not completely over yet, but it's a pretty darn good show now, and I'm told that season 4 is the best or the fan favorite, but if it's like half as good as Coven has been lately, then I can't wait to see that. So yeah, if you want to watch any season so far of American Horror Story, I definitely recommend the third one. It's really good. Sadly, I can't remember any of the characters. It's sort of a problem with me. I think it's because a lot of actors return to play different roles in this because it's an anthology series, and that's why I keep thinking of their other character names. That's why I usually just refer to them as their actor's name or the thing I remember about them the most. So yeah, definitely check out American Horror Story Coven. It's a really good season.